Perfect. Well, it's 11 o'clock, everyone, so let's get started. My name is Celie Holmes. I am the chairperson for the Sales and Marketing Council of the Maryland Building Industry Association. So thank you very much for attending and welcome to everyone that's here. We're excited about today's topic of selling in these exciting times that we're in. And first of all, this is our second Zoom meeting. And just a couple things kind of want to go over. First of all, a few items of housekeeping is the meeting will be recorded and we will be posting it on the Facebook page for the Sales and Marketing Council for the Maryland Building Industry Association. If you're not currently a member, please jump over and join so that you can have an opportunity to catch up on some other items. If you missed our first virtual meeting, that will be posted as well. Secondly, I want to thank O'Neill Interactive for helping sponsor all of the Zoom meetings for the Maryland Building Industry Association. They've set us up, and that's been a huge help, not only for this council, but for several of the other councils your companies may participate in. And thirdly, I want to thank the Maryland Building Industry Association. Lori and her team during these challenging times have provided incredible support, not only to the councils and the council members, but also to everybody involved in the Maryland Building Industry Association and those members that are not. They've given updates, they've given, and I don't want to take away any of Lori's thunder, but if you're on this call right now and you're not sure if your company is a member of the Maryland Building Industry Association, you know that you're not, please drop a message in the chat. And between Carrie and I, we will follow up. We can make sure we can get you all informed to join and make sure that you get informed of everything that's coming up, not only for the Sales and Marketing Council, but other councils that may be of interest to you and to your company. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Lori Graff for a brief update.
Great, thank you, Celie. Good morning, everybody. I will be very brief. I'm trying to give everybody a little bit of an update on where we are as an association and a little bit of some state stuff. So as Celie mentioned, obviously we are trying to do everything we can to make sure that we can operate fully as an industry through this time. We've sent out a lot of messages trying to make sure our members are safe. So please make sure you're following all the guidelines, that type of thing. We do have a kind of bullseye on our back. So we're trying to make sure even as they start to reopen, we are in good shape. Just on MBIA operations, obviously not being able to have events has been a little bit of a challenge for us. We rely a lot on our events for cash flow. And other things. So we're adjusting, we're trying to figure that out as we go forward, obviously having webinars and other things, looking at things, doing some things virtually, and that type of thing. So what we're asking for our members is to support us as much as you can. Obviously, we know you're going through a tough time, but we are trying to, membership's going to be our bread and butter. I know Cindy Plackmeyer, who's our membership chair, is on the phone, on the call as well. But it is going to be our bread and butter, so we need our members to support us through paying their membership dues and spreading the word about everything that we're doing. It's a really important thing as we move forward. I also want to bring up one other MBIA operational thing, and that is we have a new health insurance plan. If you haven't heard about this, go to our website, or you can ask me offline or Carrie. We're really excited about this. Ever since I started at MBIA, or the Builders Association of Maryland, years ago, the biggest thing I get asked is, do you have health insurance? And we haven't been able to do it, but we figured out a way to do it. And it can benefit companies as large as 100, 200 people to small companies. And I bring it up here because I know you guys have probably some independent contractors, 1099 employees. They can benefit from this as well. So please take a look at it. I'll have Carrie make sure she sends everybody the link to it, because I think that could really benefit people during this time. Again, it's something we've been working on for a while, but we fast-tracked it because we know that a lot of our members are going to be struggling during this time. So it's another service we really wanted to put for our members. So feel free to ask any questions about that if you should have any. one other thing I just wanted to two other things I just wanted to bring up. As far as reopening, if you've seen the governor's map to recovery, it's somewhat vague. I had a conversation yesterday with a whole associations, and it's frustrating to have it be so vague because you really don't know what's going to be included in that thing. I believe that's on purpose. I believe that that's because they want to be able to have some flexibility as they kind of roll things out. The governor is having a press conference at 5 o'clock today. I think he's going to start talking a little bit more about phase one. He kind of started with phase one last week, golf courses and some other things. The question, the other I get asked a lot, and I think it probably is important to you guys, is model homes and sales centers. When can those open? Not by appointment only. So we have reached out to the governor's office about that specific question and what phase that would be allowed in. And they're basically not giving us an answer until after they decide. So I think they're kind of playing it by ear a little bit too. But as soon as we hear anything and they do any executive orders, we'll be sure to get it out to our members as soon as we possibly can. Because I know that's the big thing. Obviously, we've been able to work through all of this, but you know, that's one piece that we have had to hold back on. So we'll make sure we update everybody on all of that stuff as we move forward. One other thing, does anybody have any questions on any of that stuff? Again, feel free to reach out to me anytime. The other thing is the governor did veto several bills last week. He had an option of signing bills into law, letting them just go into law without a signature, or vetoing all the bills. They on Thursday, he vetoed several bills that dealt with spending, state spending. Obviously, we know that the state revenue as well as local revenue is going to be off by a lot. So he vetoed the Kirwan Commission, which is a big education bill. He also vetoed a tax bill that didn't really affect our industry, but it was a tax on digital downloads, tobacco, and some other things. And then he vetoed some other bills that had high fiscal impacts on the state. Big one would be in Kirwan. That's going to be moving forward. That's a $4 billion a year bill dealing with education. They have the votes to override it, but it gives us a little bit of a reprieve on it. And it'll be interesting to see with the economics of the state, what the Democrats choose to do come session next year. I don't think they'll go into special session. There was some talk about that to override his vetoes, but I think at this point, everybody would rather just let things kind of lie as they are. So that's my update. I know I went quick because I know you guys have a lot on your agenda. And I don't want to be sensitive to everybody's time, but please feel free to reach out to me or Carrie if you have any questions about any of that. Again, we're kind of trying to work as hard as we can to have some normalcy within the association and provide as much service as we possibly can to everybody. So, like that.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, then, let's get started on our fun discussion. So what we're going to do today is just have a very open panel discussion. We've got some prepped questions to ask the panel. And so let me introduce everyone. You can just like wave your hand or whatever when I call out your name. We have several sales consultants with us. From Lennar, we have Ben Perovich. We're away from Ben, and he is selling for them down in California, Maryland. And unfortunately, there is part of California that's also called Hollywood. I'm sure you probably wish you were on the West Coast sometime. We have Clifton Parker, who's in Laurel, Maryland. And we have Joanna Friel with Tanyard Shores, and she's out in Glen Burnie. And then also joining us, we have two online sales consultants. One is Sarah Kronk with Caruso, and the other is Astra De Lima with EYA, Eakin Young and Tom. And then we have a director of new home sales, and that's Julie LaMartina Dinko. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for volunteering. Thank you for taking time away from follow-up and things that are important right now. But it's important also because we recognize everyone's sales style, sales pitch, sales presentation, sales performance has changed. And so we wanted to kind of get some feedback and insight on how you feel those things have changed and some of your takeaways and what are you doing differently. I'm going to start out with our online sales consultants, and the reason being is on a marketing standpoint, they kind of are the funnel. A lot of times the leads that you receive come from your online sales consultants, and so it would be great to start out with them and get a little bit of feedback. So I'm going to start with Sarah. So Sarah, are you working at home or are you in a isolated quarantine office?
I have been home for about 2 months now. Strictly at home, nowhere else.
Wow. And I'm sure there's times when you're like, oh, I'm going to commute and go to the living room. How has your daily routine changed and what does it look like now? So what are your quote unquote office hours?
Sure. So everything's kind of crazy because I'm an OSC, I'm a part-time teacher, and then I have a husband who's working from home too. So, it's still 24/7 basically, but we did have to add an additional person to come and help me because it has gotten so busy.
So what's your normal routine look like? You get up in the morning, you go to the office.
Get up, around 8:30 is when you start going through all of the leads from the night before, get a response back to them. I'm doing a lot of live videos for our Facebook page. So when I'm doing that, my second takes over the phone. Sometimes there's breaks to help with math and reading and writing, and I have a toddler too, so it's kind of all over the place, and then at 5 things start to slow down, but I'm still answering calls and emails, up until around 9 o'clock at night.
Okay. And what is your most popular source of your online traffic? So how are they finding Caruso? Is it website, Zillow, realtor.com, social media, your personal follow-up? So how are these folks getting to you?
Yeah, based on what we have in CallRail, our website has by far been the biggest source, like people organically to our website, and then as well as our Google ads and SEO, that has been driving a lot of traffic as well. And we've really pushed more Facebook boost and doing more live videos. So that's kept a lot of interest and a lot of leads coming in as well.
Awesome. So do you have to update the website or do you have somebody else doing that for you?
Melissa Kale, our marketing manager, handles most of it. When it's a big, all of the spec prices are changing, it's all hands on deck. But for the most part, Melissa and O'Neill handle any updates that we need to do.
Awesome. So you can focus on your leads. Have you seen a trend in your prospects and your leads' preferred source of communication? Is it text? Is it Skype? Zillow, not Zillow, video walkthroughs. How do they want to be communicated with? What are you seeing?
Yeah. A lot of them are really interested in videos, whether it's you sending a bomb update or connecting via Zoom. And then for leads that have been in the funnel, texting has been a great way to keep in contact because you don't want to be too pushy for someone who's not ready to buy right now, but they might be in the next couple of months. So texting has been really important.
Have you seen a resurgence in the use of good old-fashioned email or pick up the phone?
So many phone calls. We had over 500 phone calls last week, in and out.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of a sudden they're not screening their calls now. Isn't that interesting? So how about in the last 2 weeks? Have you seen any sort of change in the quality and quantity of traffic as consumers and all of us truly are starting to feel there's a light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, I would say quantity has gone way up. The OSC is kind of handling everyone who would call online originally and everyone who would be walk-in traffic. So quantity is way up. Quality is a mix. I feel like we have a lot more realtors than we normally do reaching out about new home construction. And there are some people who are kind of just bored and want to come out to a model, or they're just bored.
Wow, that's it. I mean, yeah. I guess people are thinking, well, they have to stay at home, but a model home would be a safe place to go. So, so which apps are now your kind of virtual assistant or your coworker that you're using more of than you did back in January and February?
Yeah, so CallRail has been huge, especially since I've added someone else to the team to kind of help organize my time. And it really helps track where the phone calls are coming from and how many we're taking a day. And another tool that we've been using is the Be Live app to do our live videos for Facebook, to do interviews, and to keep everyone updated.
So, do your model homes have the ability to be remotely toured, or is that a one-on-one appointment with the salesperson?
So we have a handful of virtual tours that people can walk through online. And then the sales team has been really great about FaceTime and Zoom to, if it's a quick move-in, or maybe it's a floor plan that we don't have a virtual tour because we haven't had a model of. But everything that we have a model of, we have a virtual tour online for.
Okay. And how about appointment conversion? So you're setting appointments up with folks either virtually or through a Zoom or maybe a one-on-one in your model. How's that conversion going? Are you setting the appointment and are you seeing that they're showing up, or it's about normal? How's that working?
Yeah, so leads are up, appointments are up. Conversion from leads to appointments is up. I would say the conversion to sale is a little bit down. However, I'm still running around 60% of our sales are online leads.
Wow. That's a huge number. Congratulations. That's something to feel good about.
Thanks.
And how have you grown and how have your sales skills improved during this time?
I mean, I thought I was good at multitasking before, but this is just like a whole nother level of, you just don't leave the house, and it's, still managing to get everything done, whether it's working weird hours or working on a day off, you make it happen, and still staying in contact with people, even if now's not the time, but let them know that you're thinking of them.
Yeah, that's, people want to know how much you care before they care how much you know.
Mm-hmm.
What is your personal key takeaway during this time?
I would say, don't stop prospecting, keep in touch with people, even though they're not buying now. And, a big thing I'm doing now is finding out why people aren't buying if they've come out. What did they, it's been a little hard to get in touch with agents. But what did your client like about the spec, or what didn't they like? Why aren't they moving forward, to try and get that feedback? Okay.
And what advice are you willing to share with your peers?
Yeah, I mean, definitely keep following up. And, I won't lie, I wasn't doing a ton of BombBomb videos before this, but I've stepped up my BombBomb video game, and I'm definitely seeing people open the emails. So the video emails they're getting opened.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to when you can't visit someone or can't see someone, people want to be able to look in your eyes and see what they can see in your eyes. They want to see a smile as you're talking about your, what you're selling or what you want to do for them, how you can help them with an issue that they have, because we're all problem solvers. And that's, at the end of the game, that's it.
If your picture isn't already on your website, it should be, because I have people call all the time. They already feel like they know who they're talking to when they call in, because I already have a video and a picture on the website.
That's a really, really good point. And I'm seeing more sales representatives starting to put a picture in their signature block just to start that personal connection with them. Mm-hmm. Because when you're emailing and texting, everything is so impersonal. So as I'm starting to see more responses come in from reps that actually have a picture, you kind of feel like, okay, even if it's one of your own, virtual headshots, it's better than nothing. So that's great. Thank you so very much, Sarah, for sharing some of your input. Astrid, got a couple questions from you. So are you working at home or in the office?
I'm actually working from home. First and foremost, good morning to everybody. It's lovely to see you all. It's nice to see friendly faces, and I'm delighted to be joining you this morning. And obviously, yes, I am working from home. It's been since, March 17th that I've been working from home. And my daily routine is very simple. It's just being on top. I mean, I'm lucky in the sense that I don't really have any children that are taking me away and distracting me. So I really feel for you, Sarah, because I know that you have many hats that you're wearing. And really, it's pretty eerie to hear Sarah talk, because it's pretty much the same situation in our area with EYA. And obviously, we've seen a lot of demand. And a lot of people who are at home bored and are surfing the internet and wanting to buy, but are holding back on making any decisions, but they're still interested in gaining information, getting an understanding of what the market is doing, and really just being there and communicating that. And even though we have sold, we've been lucky to be in the position that we have been able to sell virtually a couple of homes in the last couple of months. But still, we have seen this great wave of people who are ready to move forward, but they're not ready until they've actually seen a physical model home. But all of our offices on each of our properties have closed and gone to virtual reality. And obviously, using tools such as, BombBomb, as Sarah had mentioned, using FaceTime, phone calls, and also Zoom, has been a huge tool to use to move people along the process of approaching that decision, whether it's today, next week, a month, or 6 months from now. I do believe that a good amount of people who are sort of registering lately, what I have seen is the quality, maybe not so much the quantity, but definitely the quality has picked up when scheduling appointments. And that, to me, is a really good telltale sign that things are moving along in the right direction, even though sales are down.
Understand. So what is your, for EYA, what's their most popular source of traffic right now? Is it their, your builder website? Is it Zillow, Realtor.com, social media, personal follow-up that you're making? What are you seeing?
Oh, absolutely. By far, our online has been directly from our own website, so organically. But we also do have a number of people who are primarily touching base in the Zillow. Realtor.com is also very popular lately, and they're able to schedule their own appointments automatically, and I will follow up with them to ask them the qualifying questions before they actually meet virtually with the property managers, etc. So that's been helpful tremendously.
Yeah, Sarah had kind of mentioned not a whole lot from realtors. Are you seeing more realtor activity at EYA on inquiries to you?
Yes and no, not so much for our current properties at the moment. We kind of are in a limbo in the sense that last year we actually had 6 communities to choose from, but now we're down to 3 because 3 of those communities closed out at the end of last year. So inventory is a little scarce because 2 out of the 3 current developments don't even have a model home just yet. So we are approaching deliveries in the next couple of months for those communities. And that has slowed things down for our current developments. However, we do have 3 developments that we have kind of informed people of. And we've seen a huge amount of people, like 1,600 people already register for our next upcoming development that's going to be. And so we are gaining a lot of questions, but obviously we don't have the floor plans just yet because we are still finalizing floor plans, prices, and details like that. But we've seen a huge influx of people who are not looking to move right now, as I mentioned before, looking into the future and are interested in the specific locations that we have coming down the pipeline. So that's been a good interest in many people's eyes.
Fantastic. What have you seen as your leads and prospects' preferred form of communication from you?
A little bit of a mix. I would say 50-50. Some prefer just to have a set up an appointment through just a simple phone call with our property managers. And then the other 50%, I would say, really like to use Zoom because it's a lot more of a visual. It's not just about seeing the other sales manager and creating that connection, which I think is vital in the sales process. But it really helps those who are only just starting their new home search to have a little bit more of a visualized understanding of what our development will offer. And we actually keep, like for instance, the virtual tours, we actually use that as a tool to actually incentivize people to actually schedule appointments versus having them be able to do their own virtual tours on their own.
Yeah.
And I think that has helped a lot of people because during those tours, they do come up with a heck of a lot of more questions. We're able to answer those questions immediately during the appointment, not just for them to do it on their own.
Awesome. Awesome. Which apps have you like picked up any new apps that are now like your best friend, tools you may not have used before, but they're now your quote unquote virtual assistant?
I mean, we've always tended in the last 2-3 years, we've used Facebook and Instagram primarily. I do feel that Facebook doesn't really create the adequate leads that we like. We get a lot of leads that are not really qualified or within the price range that our homes are at.
Right.
But definitely influences. And I mean, I have to say, I know that Woolmall does a fantastic job and so many other competitors do such a great job, but I really am so happy to be working with such a wonderful team. We have about 5 marketing members within EYA that specifically focus on the marketing side. And I liaise with them to really push forward great marketing emails, e-blasts, giving them alerts about future developments and always keeping people thinking about EYA, even if they're not ready. So pretty much they use a lot of those tools in lots of different measures to do that. And we use a lot of videos as well, as Sarah was pointing out. I think videos are the most powerful thing any marketing team can use. Not only do I use it a lot, but now I've been trying to get our property managers involved a little bit more, because I think the more faces you see, the friendlier it gets, the more approachable we become. So when they do end up setting that appointment, they already feel that they already know who they're going to be speaking with, which is great.
Yep, absolutely. How do you think you have grown and have your sales skills online improved during the last 60 days?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel very confident. I've always been at the top of my game. It's just really, I think the most predominant, most important thing to do is just keeping on top of them. It's all about speed. It's not about waiting an hour or 2. It's about responding immediately. So really, that's really wonderful to be able to work from home. And I have nothing but time to really focus on responding to those leads immediately. And that really is what I have seen a tremendous jump, and being able to do that immediately versus being at my office. I do get a lot of interruptions, unfortunately, I feel. And that's been the biggest change for me, is that it's 100% my attention is given to my prospects, which is nice.
I think that's going to be an underlying theme as long as we're not in front of people face to face. How are your appointment conversions been? So when you've set appointments, what has the conversion been for them, participating in the appointment and, just in general and moving forward in whatever fashion that is, whether it's a home site reservation, whatever?
Well, I mean, great thing is that with us, even though our number of kept appointments have gone down in comparison to January and February, we're still getting roughly around 82% is where I'm getting for kept appointments, which is great. And obviously sales, even though they have gone down, I'm at roughly around 92% of sales that are coming through the OSC process, which is great.
Well, congratulations. That's a robust number. That's excellent. And lastly, Are there any tips you're willing to share with your peers on the call, as best practices, key takeaways for what you've seen and what you're doing?
I think, going back to being responsive, don't let that one lead slip away and keep at it until they say stop or yes, I would like to move forward with an appointment. It's, even though they might not be ready just yet, just keep going. And right now, I think what my leadership has said, take this time to focus on yourself, on your leads, but more importantly, on your family. This is a great opportunity right now for all of us to focus on what's important, and that is family. And, and don't, right now, all we see is this bombardment of negative news, and it can be a little bit discarding. But I do think that the desirability for people to move forward and want to purchase in the near future is there. And I think the biggest take back for me is just don't lose hope, and just keep moving forward one step at a time, and keep as positive as possible, because people can tell if you're anxious or if you're not that positive on the phone. I mean, a million words is one thing, but also the way you say it is another. And just keep that positivity, because that's what people are going to continue to stay interested and excited about your product if you keep doing that. So that's probably the main thing I would say.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up those two things, because, one thing, Jeff Shore has always said you have to identify their current dissatisfaction. And as much time as everyone is spending at home, cooking in their kitchens, eating at their dining room tables that they've never eaten at on a regular basis, because that's, the 3 times a year for holidays, eating in their kitchen, in their backyard, realizing their backyard isn't big enough for all of the family things. The great time, to your point, of spending time with your family has created quality best practices that most of us grew up with, but we've all forgotten about. And I think that will create some current dissatisfaction with those folks that will make everyone on this call nice and busy when we are allowed out of restrictions, so to speak. The other thing I want to say is that I was on a call yesterday, as several folks were, with Meredith Oliver. And one of the things she asked everybody on the call was, if you're not feeling it, do you fake it till you make it? And her answer is absolutely. If you are on with a prospect or a lead or a backlog, you smile, and you have to fake it till you make it. Because if they feel that there's any sense, even if what you're feeling is personal and you just happen to have brought it from the living room to your office, they sense it. So your point there is so valid, so fake it till you make it, smile, make sure those people know that you're there. And the other thing that Meredith mentioned is that everyone on this call, you were chosen for a reason. Your passion for what you do creates certainty and confidence in others. So the more passionate you are, the more confident you are, and you share that, whether it's, as you said, on the phone, on a text, they know if you're smiling, they know if you feel on your game. It's going to create certainty and confidence in the other people you deal with. So don't forget that. And it makes me feel so great that you just brought that up. So thank you very much, Astrid. And thank you for sharing your tips. So let's jump over now to the field side. So Astrid and Sarah, set these appointments. And unfortunately, in Astrid's case, they can't really go out in the field. They just maybe communicate a little bit more virtually. So ladies first. So we're going to start with Joanna Friel with Lennar. So Joanna, are you personally sitting in your sales office, or are you working from home?
I am in the sales office in the model. That's where I feel I effectively need to be. So a lot of virtual going on, but physically I am in the Welcome Home Center, yes.
Awesome, that's fantastic. So are you all, when you're there during the day, like, are you open for appointment only or no personal tours?
Well, Lennar, I love Lennar. Been working with them a long time, and they're always on the forefront of what's happening out there. They're so adaptable, so quick. And they rolled out self-guided tours, which also interacts our INHCs, where people can go online, give some information. They go to lennar.com, give some personal information, answer a few questions, and they can actually pick a time slot for themselves.
Awesome.
Turn on location services, come exactly to the front door of the model of their choice, get a code, come into the model and tour it.
Okay.
So being on site, however, gives me the power to interact with the people as they're scheduling the self-guided tours. And they have been enormously successful as far as capturing the traffic that we need to, traffic for conversion. And just looking like today, it's interesting, but looking at the Metro study that just came out, you know, Lennar is actually still pulling in 32% of the share of the market. So, and their traffic numbers are triple what generally you see from other builders. So the self-guided tours have been very successful.
Well, that's awesome. I'm going to ask one question on that. I just wrote a note to ask you who you use later. So when you're not interacting with folks from the self-guided tours, what are you doing in your sales office to stay prepared for doing business as usual?
Well, I have created a whole virtual portfolio of arsenals. And like you mentioned, you know, people, you know, texts and emails, even though that's a normal way of doing business for us on a day-to-day basis prior to COVID-19, I think it's more important to be face-to-face, to see that smile. And I like to call people personally, send them everything virtually. We have Matterports for every home. If someone can't schedule a virtual tour, I have virtual brochures. I have virtual sales tactics that I try to use now that face-to-face I didn't really get an opportunity to do. So you really have to strategize your sales process a little differently now for certain.
And how has your follow-up changed?
It's changed a lot. I'm doing a lot, as you mentioned, Celie, more phone calls than ever before, and FaceTiming. And I've got Skype, I've got Zoom, I've got all these interesting things, you know, to show people, whether it's something as simple as, hey, what size is that master bedroom closet again? Or, hey, you know, I'm not so sure about the bedroom sizes. Can I see them again? You have to be prepared to just go and do it. It's very instantaneous. And it's amazing the relationship you can develop with people just virtually, as opposed to being face-to-face.
Yeah, they let their guard down a little bit, don't they?
I think so, yes.
So from your standpoint, your prospects, and you mentioned phone calls, so has that kind of been their preferred method of follow-up and communication with you? Or what are you seeing? I mean, you know, it's like, you know, reach out and touch someone, not anymore, but that's kind of used to be the phone, you know, ad. Now you can, now you're doing it again. But what other forms of communication are you seeing that your leads and prospects are really responding to?
Well, in the field, as far as inventory homes or homes that you're trying to move a little sooner rather than later, I feel like Instagram is a big source for me. Anything video oriented, you know, comments are comments, but people want to see. They want to see, they want to walk it, they want what feels like a normal experience, as if they were there. Nothing, it doesn't have to be beautiful, it doesn't have to be a decorated model, they just want to feel that experience. So Instagram for me is a big part of what I do. And I also think just basically having the access of having my iPad with me at all times and just making a phone call, FaceTime call. Leaving messages is another thing that, you know, people don't generally like to do anymore. They don't like to leave a voicemail. They call and they hang up. So I have found myself just having to leave voicemails, and people are responding to them far more than they ever did before. So something as simple as that, I think, has been a big help to me as well. And Facebook Live, I mean, you know, Facebook Live, it's all about the views. You know, how many people are viewing? You have to keep relevant. You have to, you know, show people that, hey, we are still selling homes, you know, in the construction business, and you're going to need one eventually.
Yep. So. How hard was it to do your first Facebook Live?
Well, it wasn't easy, but thankfully my sales manager, Katie, was awesome. So she was calm and cool, and, and so she helped me out a lot. And I think already having this relationship established with people that you're doing these calls with, right, helps as well. So I know you, Celie, I know Cindy, and it's always nice. That's more comforting. But I think it's really just about making the connection with people without reaching out and shaking their hands, giving them, you have to really express in your face what the passion that you're feeling. And I think that's really what it's about when people are looking at you virtually. She really believes in, I have to make a tour. I have to go see that home. It's all about painting the picture.
Well, there's a saying going around out there right now, better done than perfect.
Right.
So do it, get it done, and then move on. You don't have to worry about the hair sticking up. Maybe something was off kilter, because they're more about you being authentic than anything else. You had mentioned your remote access. Just out of curiosity, what system is Lennar using now?
Well, we use Microsoft Teams. Is it for
your remote access to your homes? What are you using?
Well, for me, I'm using Zoom quite a lot.
And if they want to come into the home without you, are you using like UTour or?
Oh yeah, we have Matterport, we have Stills, Matterports for every single one of our homes.
Gotcha.
We offer a database that's accessible to all the NHCs at any time to go on. It's a universal platform for Lennar that you could go onto and grab a Matterport, grab it, share it in a matter of 5 minutes. Everything is accessible to the NHCs directly, which I think is wonderful, and not having to, find a way to get the information that you need.
So the quality of your traffic in the last 30 days, would you say there's more urgency? Is it better? Is it more qualified? Do you have what we used to, it used to be called more A and B prospects now? Or you have some of the people are just like going, oh God, we got to do something. Let's go online and dream about buying a new home.
It's funny because when it started, I thought, at the end of this, people are going to be ready to buy. They're going to be stuck in their homes, and they're really just going to, everything that they don't like about their current home is just going to come to fruition. But I've changed my mind about that, because we are selling homes, as many as we did prior to COVID-19. So it makes me think that the home buying process is still in their mind. And I feel like the prospects coming in to be able to take time to put the information in, to go through these designated steps, people generally are not going to do that unless they're somewhat serious. So I like to think that everyone that's trying to get into my model is serious, right? So, and I think that's the name of the game. And I do think that people are still buying homes, maybe now more so. From what I've seen, our conversion rate as far as sales has been excellent across the division. And we haven't lost a step in the process. So I feel like their minds are there.
Awesome. How have you personally grown during this time, and what have you kind of learned?
Well, I've become a little more tech savvy, Celie. That I will tell you. I'm a face-to-face person. I've always thought of myself more that way, and that where my strength is, and selling is being in front of someone. But I've come to realize that that's not the case. And I have been able to paint the picture better for people through all those tools, and really dig down into the specifics of the questions faster, more efficiently, to get the ammunition I need to convert that sale, faster. I've become, a little more diligent in creating that urgency and getting the information that I need. So for me personally, I feel like once we go back to face more, it's going to be far easier.
Yeah, and your conversion rate may go up too. So what is your key takeaway and any advice you're willing to share with the folks on the call about selling? Is selling going to stay the same as it is now, or do you think it will kind of go back to what it used to be?
I think it's going to be a combination of both. I think that we're going to experience long-term effects from, this new normal way of life that we've been experiencing. And I think that it's here to stay. Some parts of it, some significant parts, which is a good thing. It's going to enable more buyers that are out of state, you know, a variety of things and conveniences that you're going to have accessibility to. And I feel like it's going to be a little bit back to both people's mentality. It's going to take a while, I think. So, and I'm welcome to that. I think it's great. I think at the end of the day, it just makes all of us better sales consultants.
Absolutely. I agree 100% on that. And I think also one of the things that you said made me think is that you probably have, your listening skills are a little bit different today than they might have been 65 days ago. Because it's your, you know, you have to make sure, like you said, you may only have one time at them. So make sure you understand. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think you have to be more efficient with that process, with the sales process. You know, as salespeople, we're taught to go the full cycle, and I think that has shortened now. I think it's in a smaller window to capture people's attention initially off the bat and make sure that those questions that you're asking are tailored specifically to those buyers' wants and needs.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And for those of you who missed it, Joanna actually was interviewed, about 3 weeks ago, and it was posted on LinkedIn by a Remax agent, and it was a fun little video. She did great. So when Joni suggested her, I was so thrilled that she was going to be part of the group. So if you haven't seen it, go catch it on LinkedIn. But it was a great interview, and you handled yourself so well. And any buyer or prospect who was looking at purchasing, I think would have felt really, really good about going, oh, I want to deal with them.
Yes. Thank you, Celie.
You are welcome. So because B comes before C, we're going with Ben next.
Hey guys.
All right. So Ben, obviously we can tell you're working from home at work unless you did your own Zoom video backdrop.
Not yet.
Awesome.
I'm in our model. I'm in our Welcome Home Center right now.
Awesome. So what do you do during the day to prepare, to keep your skills sharp and prepare for doing business?
So as far as the model and everything goes, I think model presentation and community presentation and curb appeal is more important. I've almost gone back to this mindset of a resale agent. I've been a resale agent for 2 years, and it was always, and that was after being in new homes for 8 years.
Oh,
so
wow.
I found it difficult to have a listing and put these beautiful pictures up and drive traffic to your listing, but not be able to talk to the people that walk in and try to sell them your listing. You had to do it through the information in your listing, through any sort of pamphlets or brochures that you leave out in your listing. And we're sort of getting back to that here, where people have the opportunity to schedule a time and walk through our home and not talk to us. So our home has to be ready, lights on, clean, light bulbs in, no trash outside, signs straight. We have a lot of extra signs right now for just special security things, and it's important. The wind blows those down, and every day you need to come in and make sure that they're up and it looks as good as it can.
Okay. And that just a complete offside. Are you guys still doing directional signage at all? Or are you saving that money right now?
For a while, we did away with the directional signs. Now, we are new to California, Maryland, so people don't really know the name Lennar. Everywhere else, that name brings power and confidence. Down here, it's almost the opposite. People don't know it, they don't trust it. So we actually restarted our directional signs a few weeks early down here, just to keep our name at the top of people's minds. We opened this community in November and worked out of a trailer. We had to postpone 2 grand openings so far. But a lot of our work, a lot of our sales came out of the trailer before we even got into the model. So we were doing a lot of this using virtual tools, virtual walkthroughs from other communities. We sold to somebody that lived in Texas that was moving up here. So we were using this stuff already before this happened.
Wow.
Certainly sharpen that. I'm not a big fan of videos and Facebook Live, and even this right here has me a little nervous. I've got the AC set at like 60 degrees, so I don't start sweating on camera. So it's just different, but it's certainly sharpening skills that are going to be necessary moving forward.
Absolutely. So how has your follow-up changed?
You know, I was thinking about that question. My follow-up hasn't changed too much. It's still a lot of phone calls and emails. I think the goal of my follow-up is different. You know, my goal used to be get somebody in my model so I can stand in front of them and sell them a house out here. And people don't necessarily want that anymore. So you have to understand how they want to move through the process. And the goal of my follow-up is no longer to get someone in the model. It's to get them in the most comfortable spot they can to tour these homes. Ideally, it's with me, with them in the model. But if it needs to be them without me, by themselves, then that's what it's going to be.
Awesome. Awesome. And so what remote access company do you use? You know?
I forget the name of
Smart Rents.
Smart Rent. Yeah, there we go. So thanks, Clifton. It's a program that gets funneled to our internet team, and then they transition, they warm the lead up, or talk to them, and then flip it over to us.
Awesome.
Really cool process that we have, and it's been working out really well.
Yeah, it's for any of the builders who already had that kind of smart access, they were way ahead of the curve before things kind of, chose a different path 60 days ago.
And the smart access it's not too far from what realtors do every day, which is,
Exactly.
they'll get in the car with a buyer and they'll stop at 8 different homes. They'll get out, they'll go in when it's empty, and then they'll leave. And now we just kind of fall in line with that a lot more than we used to. So I think, I've seen realtor appointments stay steady, and it's been the bulk of my traffic.
I was just getting ready to ask you that question since you brought it up. So do you think that's kind of helped give you a little bit of an edge with the realtors, because for them, it's business as usual?
Yep, and a lot of them like to control the process. And that's always kind of a dynamic that's interesting when you have a realtor come through your model is they want to be the expert, and so do you. So that's even more important sometimes than your relationship with the buyer is how you interact with the agent. And now they have the power to just pull up and completely block you out, which is fine, because it still sells homes, and it lets them do what they do every day, and it's still successful.
Awesome. What new apps or systems have you kind of learned, so that you now have another, like your virtual assistant? What are the programs and the apps that you're using more now than you did back in January and February?
FaceTime is still, it sounds weird to say I'm old school by using FaceTime, but I keep it old school and use FaceTime if I can. I find it kind of neat to be able to get a customer on the phone, talk to them, and drop a little juicy nugget to where maybe they're going to want to jump on FaceTime and see what you're talking about. So a lot of my calls start as a phone call and they end at the FaceTime call.
Yeah, I bet everyone's plan for their cell phones changed dramatically when all of this happened, so, since they're using it a lot more for personal calls and for texts. Mm-hmm. Have you found the quality of your traffic in the last 30 days or so to be better, the same, worse? What are you seeing down there?
100% better.
Okay.
If somebody schedules an appointment to come out here, they are definitely 100% serious, and I'm disappointed if I can't close them.
I like the attitude. Goes back to being confident, having the passion. Mm-hmm. How have you grown, and how have your sales skills improved during the last 60 days?
One thing I realized is what I say counts a lot more. I miss the initial interaction of someone walking in and you introduce yourself, and like you said before, people want to see a smile, and they can't because I have a mask on, and I can't shake their hand because that's not allowed either. So really all these non-verbal cues that we give off and that we've grown to use in sales, we're kind of limited in how we can use them now. Yeah. So everything you say is more important than ever. I tend to have some humor in what I say, and I've had to be extra careful because I can't, smile or smirk or let somebody know that, I was really joking. So it's been a little more of a straightforward process. I think it's almost been easier to close people because it is a shortened process, and a lot of the fluffy stuff is out of it. It's like, This is what we got.
So what is your personal key takeaway, and what advice are you willing to share with everyone on the call?
This is advice for myself too, which is you have to get comfortable on videos. You have to be comfortable posting on Facebook. I did a Facebook live video and I was terrified, and it was terrible. And I'm still scared to do another one, but we're going to do another one today. I feel more comfortable after doing this. So it's just, we have to get comfortable with the new way of doing things. Even before any of this stuff happened, it was going this direction anyway. I mean, look at your biggest and best realtors in your area, and they're going to be the people that are on social media the most. And it's no different for us. So,
Well, the point, better done than perfect. And
exactly.
what was the lesson that you told me that you thought of before we even started this call?
So it might not be a bad idea, the way things are going, to get maybe almost like a little video conference studio in your model. So this Lennar sign would be posted backwards, and everything on your wall will be backwards. So when I'm looking like this, it'll look right. It's kind of like ambulance on the front of the ambulance when you look in your rear view.
Which I thought that was a great tip, because we've all been Zooming and doing whatever for 60 days. And of course, you're always trying to go, you need to hold up a mirror and look in it to see what that says backwards. But I think that's just something that you don't think about when you're on this side of the camera, but when you're on that side of your video, just think about it as you're doing floor plan reviews or whatever. I thought that was a fabulous, fabulous tip.
Thank you.
And so thank you for sharing that. Really, really appreciate that. And Clifton.
Hello.
Hello. So I take, and I could see that you're sitting, once again, you're sitting in the Lennar model.
Yes, ma'am.
And so what are you doing during the day personally to make sure you're ready for your calls, your leads, your prospects, everything as they come in?
Well, personally, I feel like it's a little easier because it's maybe a little slower and I can prepare mentally a little bit better. My daily routine consists of just knowing what my site's looking like, knowing what's happening day to day, being prepared for the appointments that are coming in or scheduled, reaching out to people, and just, taking a deep breath and knowing that we're going to make it through each day.
Excellent. Excellent. And so tell me, what is kind of your program when a prospect or lead calls you or wants to do a virtual tour? What is your standard operating procedure now?
Well, for me, a lot hasn't really changed. I'm a big tech nut, so I've been utilizing a lot of these mobile tools for a long time now. I've always been pretty much set where I should be able to run my business from my phone anywhere, no matter where I am. Our CRM system, Salesforce, allows me to do a lot of that. I'm big on videos, Zillow, Trulia, things like that. 360, I've got camera equipment, I've got gimbals, I've got things that make so I can get quality stuff. And I just always have this at my fingertips. My communication with customers a lot of time is, text, email, and being able to just have the links to the to the videos or what I need to send them at a fingertip. It just makes it, super easy to get the customers what they need right away.
So for the folks that you're dealing with in your community, what is their preferred form of communication? How do they want to work with you?
I feel like it evolves. I think, it starts out with emails or maybe texts. As the responses start becoming more elaborate, then it becomes a phone call where you don't want to sit and have every communication be a long, drawn-out paragraph. It's so much faster, so much easier just to talk to the customer.
Okay. And so we got that answered. So how have you seen your quality of traffic in the last 60 days? What has it been like for you in your community?
Well, I guess it's kind of evolved. It started out with, everyone wanting to get in and get out of the door. Actually it started out with the filtered, that those who had an absolute need to come in. And then I feel like cabin fever started to set in and people were just looking for somewhere to go. And then it's, I think it's kind of evolving back since we have these processes in place for the self-guided tours. I feel like a lot of the customers who are making the physical trip out here and following the steps to have access are definitely more interested customers, because I mean, if it's easy enough to just walk in the door, but you know, when you got to take a picture of your driver's license, wait for a code, it helps filter the customers coming through.
So do you think the remote access is helping your conversion rate to sales during this time?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely an equalizer when it comes to comfort level in the process, right? I mean, this stuff is real. We're going through right now, whether you believe it or not, everyone's affected by it. And, you know, everyone's had to adapt to it to some form or another. So I feel like, you know, those, again, willing to go through the process, go through the steps, are definitely going to be more serious. I think the customer, the quality customer who's you know, taking the time to do this and is definitely, you know, the top-notch customer.
That's awesome. So how have you grown during this time? And what new skills have you kind of, you know, perfected that you know you're going to be able to move forward with?
You know, I feel like I've been practicing being, I guess, more personable with customers, like, you know, showing my vulnerabilities with people. Like I said, it's a real thing. And I mean, I know I don't want it to seem fake when they come in and be all smiles, not making them feel like I'm experiencing the same things that they are, right? Like, you know, I feel like the customer has to know that you're a person as well and not just a salesperson, like that you care, and it's not just a facade. It's got to feel genuine. So I let my vulnerability show. You know, I let people understand that, you know, if I'm going to meet you face to face, it's going to be outside. It's not going to be in my 9 foot by 9 foot office where nobody feels comfortable. You know what I mean? You feel like you got to hold your breath in the office. But yeah, I mean, just like Ben said, I feel like it's harder to, you know, to joke around if they can't see your face. You know, I try to make sure that, you know, verbally, vocally, my tones, again, show my vulnerability, but at the same time, show people that, you know, we're here to adapt and accommodate their needs and their wants and to listen, and just to make sure that I understand where you're at. I feel the same way you feel right now. And I understand that your need is clearly greater than your discomfort about the whole COVID situation. So let me try to accommodate that without turning my head to the whole, you know, the whole environment right now, but still trying to, you know, just accommodate you best I can.
Authenticity is so key right now, because people, when you, like you said, I think for everyone on the call, when we show our vulnerability, we create empathy with the people we're doing business with, and you're authentic, and they want to do more business with you. So I just think that was so well said on that. It just reminds us why we're all doing the business and why we all love New Home Sales, because it's the interaction, it's helping people, being of service. So what is your key takeaway, and what advice are you willing to share with everyone here?
You know, I think my key, for everyone else who's not really necessarily in tune to it, I think definitely adapt to the technology, have your information at your fingertips, be able to get and deliver things to customers quickly, easily, utilize the tools that the company's provided for us. You know, be genuine with the customers. You know, I'm not really nervous on video conferences or calls. I feel like the first customer I did the video conference with, you know, who was in their pajamas at home without a care in the world because they were in a safe space, made me feel better about that whole process. And, you know, just you know, use your instincts and allow those instincts to guide you through these changes in this environment. Be adaptable. You know, don't just, you know, I know fake it till you make it's a big saying, and I think that's great when we're face to face and we can see ourselves and practice ourselves doing that. But when you don't necessarily get all the cues from the customer like you did when you're on a, you know, a phone call and you're trying to discover information, you know, you lose 90% of what you used in the old time, right? You know, seeing people face to face, seeing their responses, seeing their facial expressions, their body language when you're saying stuff, knowing how well you're doing and being able to gauge that. And the process is different now. So you definitely have to be more in tune, be human, and adapt to the technology. And I think you'll make it through this without a problem.
Excellent tips. Excellent tips. And now we're going to this kind of to wrap up here. We have our online sales consultant who works with the leads, warms them up, gets them to the salesperson. The salesperson, you all have done a great job in getting them, through the process, either all the way through to a purchase agreement, or they're pausing because they just want to wait a bit. And now we're going all in. So we're going to talk with Julie, who is with Ameristar Homes, and she's going to talk a little bit about how it is to work with the team and what do we do with the team. So Julie, I know you're sitting in your sales office. So how are you managing like your visits and your one-on-one and your how do you work with your reps?
How do I work with what?
How are you working with people on your one-on-ones?
Hey, Celie, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
This is Sean.
Yeah.
Julie is our sales manager. Her title is director of sales, but she is one frontline salesperson.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Sean.
Well, let's just go ahead then. Julie, why don't you give us a little bit of feedback on everything you've heard today? And Sean, I may ask you a few questions.
Okay.
So Julie, tell us I know you're in your office. We talked earlier before everybody jumped on. So what is your daily routine now sitting in your office? I know you had said you have a partner.
Yes, I have a sales partner, John Adcock, and myself, and we're rotating the model right now. We have, we're pretty flexible because we have 2 different job sites we're running. We're in about 8 to 10 other properties that we're also selling. So John and I are basically physically out place to place as it goes. That's changed a little bit. We're meeting people right there at the site where before they would come into our model home.
Right. So you still kind of get to fulfill the experience in some respects of being able to travel, and demo a community, demo a home site, observing required social distancing, of course.
Yes, and we've changed some of the things. Right now, our biggest community here in Severn, we have about 3 lots left in there. What we've been doing is we'll take a buyer, allow a buyer to go through, with their mask on and all that, but we wait till our subcontractors are out. So it's more in the evening times. We're doing evening meetings. We've adjusted to that and just letting them walk through our models that we have built over there. So that's been a little bit different. We've been very fortunate. We've been very busy.
Fantastic. So how has your follow-up changed? Obviously, you're a little bit different now.
It is different. It is different. Basically, we've been so busy. In the last 25 days, we sold like 5.8 million in sales. And
That's awesome.
I know we're a local builder. We're not a national. We're local. Anne Arundel County's our base. But it's the follow-up's been it's the same sort of way. We respond to our calls, and we have any leads that come in, we're always right on it. I think we've taken it to a whole nother level as far as response time, where we were a little bit more in the model. It was a little different. Now we're right on it.
Well, and that follows up in line with exactly what your peer group has said, that responsiveness is key. So what apps have kind of become, as I'm calling it, your virtual assistant? So which tools are you now using more than you used 65 days ago?
Zoom. I had never been on Zoom till the word pandemic was mentioned. And my sales partner, Don, and I immediately started Zoom conversations between each other. And next thing we know, and with the Zoom, we learned that we have to be more prepared. When we get a buyer in front of us, we need to know what they're looking at, what plan, what site, and we were, have all that organized before we get on the meeting with them. And we're Zooming constantly now. And I never even used it one time before this all happened.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. So would you say your discovery process and your questions have improved and changed since this started?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we're basically, I go right to the juggler about pre-qualification right now. We don't have time for tire kickers anymore. And we really try to find out, with really, just go down to, okay, when are you ready to move? What's pre-qualification? Who's pre-qual? What's it look like? And we really just go down more intense than we ever did when we were sitting in a model.
That's great. It's good. What do they call that now? The Amazon effect. Everyone's so used to going online and getting immediate gratification that, when you can respond and when you do respond and the responsiveness is faster, it sounds like it's helping everyone because we've created Pavlov's consumer with Amazon, thank you. And now they're expecting that. And I think the salespeople that kind of swing with that flow and the OSCs that swing with that are going to see their responses and their conversion improve. That's excellent. And as I said, you've already answered so many of these questions in your presentation. How have you grown? Aside from Zooming, how have you grown and which sales skills have you feel you've really honed during this time?
I think being more a better listener to people. Really getting into, what's going on, and we're all going through this whole pandemic together, and just try to get down on their level and let them know that, I'm here, I understand what we're all going through, because we're all going through it. And I think my listening skills have really sharpened up a lot better.
That's awesome.
They really are.
Yep, there's a saying, there's a reason Buddha has 2 big ears and 1 little mouth, if you think of pictures of Buddha. Mm-hmm. So what is your key takeaway or what advice you're willing to share with the group here?
Basically just stay on it, stay positive, stay upbeat, and not to the phoniness, just get down to people's levels and just find out and zoom in on them as far as how far they want to go and when they are ready to make that move. I'm having a lot of qualified buyers coming my way that I've never had before. And they're ready to make the move. And that's been phenomenal. I don't have anyone that's like really on the fence, well, we might do it later, or something like that. They're really interested. They're ready to make the move, and we're moving quite with all contracts with it. I've got about 80% out of our, I would say out of our conferences we have is taken us to contracting.
That's fantastic. Congrats. And truly, congratulations to all the sales professionals on this call, whether you're an OSC or active in the field, boots on the ground. The fact that you're converting, you're seeing traffic, you're positive, you're getting sales, that just shows that, the business, home building is essential. New home sales is essential because it's the great American dream for all of us. So Sean, I'm going to grab you for a couple seconds and ask you a few quick questions for the inquiring minds that want to know. Sure. How are you inspiring and keeping your team positive and motivated and coached up and trained during this time?
Well, first of all, everybody that was on this panel did a fantastic job. I appreciated hearing all the different viewpoints of how you're maintaining your careers. I tell all my salespeople, we're the luckiest people because we did not lose our jobs. We haven't had to stop working. And it's not just about the money. I think we would all agree. There's just an aspect of getting up and going to work every day that keeps me sane. So I'm very fortunate and grateful that we still have the ability to earn a living right now. That said, I will tell you that I've tried to maintain a degree of normalcy. So, Zoom meetings are great, but when my sales team, John are a good example, I try to go to their model on Monday mornings for this builder and join them in the Zoom call. And then we'll have the builder on another Zoom from another location. A couple people from the builder will be on that Zoom call. And then I have a business partner. He may join from this location up in Timonium. But I try to go out and meet with the salespeople still and be in front of them. We'll eat lunch together or we'll just talk through things. It's not all, I don't want to get lazy with Zoom. I still feel like I need to be in front of my sales team.
Good.
And they motivate me and I motivate them.
So while you're going through, because let's be honest, even though people are selling, we all know that there's still a bottom line that we have to do. So what kind of, let me rephrase that. How are you holding your team accountable for, are there different metrics that have changed now? You have to have this many virtual contacts and this many X and this many Y.
I mean, well, the first thing I would say is, and this, I think probably you would agree, and some other managers out there, Joni, the salespeople that were on point before the pandemic, well, for me, my observation is they're the ones that were quickly adaptable to going virtual, and they embraced it immediately, and they have found the most success. When we set goals, and when we first got into the pandemic, I think everybody was saying, hey, if we can just get a sale or two over the next month, we could, kind of plug the hole in the boat a little bit. But as we got through March, we realized we were on pace with a normal month.
Awesome.
And then as we get into April, Julie and John, for instance, sold 10 $500,000 houses or above in 25 days in April. And so, and I know a lot of other salespeople are having the same success.
Yep.
You just have to get after it every day. And it's so fluid. At first it was the idea of the minute. Oh my God, this builder's doing this. We better do this. And now we feel like we have a grasp on it. We know what works. We're still open to new ideas. And I heard some on this call, but you just got to get up and grind through it. And if there's a new wrench thrown at you today, we'll figure it out this afternoon and we'll be past it tomorrow. And that's how we've been working.
So like everyone on the call prior to you has said, being open, being flexible, being adaptable has, that has certainly helped, being nimble moving forward. So how do you think personally your coaching skills have changed or improved in the last 60 days?
Maybe you should ask Julie that.
He's a great coach. He's a great coach.
I am, I manage an incredible sales team. I manage over 12 builders and over 20 salespeople. And I think if anything has happened over the last couple of months, it's probably that I interact with them probably almost, and some salespeople don't like it and I'll leave them alone, but almost on a daily basis, I'm checking. A little more interaction. It's not micromanagement as much as it's micro helping. And, that would probably be the biggest change.
Well, when you hear all these sales team and the online sales professionals talk about the personal connection and how important it is, the fact that you said that it just solidifies everything that we've been talking about, is that people don't care how much we know until they know how much we care. And having been in your shoes, Sean, I can tell you, you always have your salespeople that say, leave me alone. I don't need to see you every day. I don't need to hear from you every week. But when I do need you, you better get with me. Everyone has something else going on at their office at home or with their family or with their spouse. And we have to remember that when we're coaching and working with a team or with coworkers or with prospects, that the personal approach and making that one-on-one connection, regardless of whether or not they need it, one at a time, they may need it. And so that's one of your biggest takeaways, explains why Julie and her partner have had a great month. I truly believe that. So for Carrie's going to come on now, but I want to thank everyone for being honest, for sharing, for being true, being authentic. It's great tips, and I've been doing this business since the mid-'80s, and I truly believe that when we get on the other side, whatever that looks like, it is going to truly be a blend of what we're doing now and what we used to do, and that those of us that can mesh them together and recognize that people still want that personal connection, Those are the sales professionals that are going to triumph and continue to sell so successfully because they recognize the fact that people are busy, but hey, people still like a phone call. They may not have liked it 90 days ago, but now they want it. And so I think it's going to be great. So thank you for sharing. And we appreciate the managers who volunteered their team members to do this because we know it's taking away from some of their other things, but it's just wonderful insight. So Carrie, I'm turning this back over to you.
Thank you, Sealy. You also did an awesome job moderating and leading that whole thing. I think everybody really enjoyed this. And we are recording, like Sealy said, and we will be posting this on our Facebook and MBIA's website. So I just wanted to hop on real quick and let everybody know a couple of things. Our next SMC meeting will be June 10th. We definitely want to bring to you another valuable topic. So if anybody has any ideas or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to Celia or myself on that. And then last, I want to be sure to bring everybody's attention to, can you see my screen? I hope you can. Max. We are closing entries on Friday. Another blast will go out about this, but really want to encourage people to recognize their hard work, whatever that might be, product, salespeople, merchandising, marketing from 2019. I have this infographic on our website, and it will also go in the email blast. It's all of the things that come with getting an award for Max. It is above and beyond this year. MBIA is going to make sure that your company shines and your people shine when they receive an award. So if you have any questions, let me know. Look for the email. And also, I guess this is probably a good time. Are there any questions? You can put it down in the chat at the bottom here. For me, Sealy, any of our panelists? No? Okay.
Well, thank you once again. Thank you, everyone. And let's go out and have another great month halfway through May, and let's continue to rock it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.